Introduction and Dedication of Evelina. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Evelina, or The History of a Young Lady's Entrance into the World. Published in 1778 by Fanny Burney. Original Inscription. To Dr. Burney. O author of my being, far more dear to me than light, than nourishment or rest, Hygeia's blessings, rapture's burning tear, or the life-blood that mantles in my breast. If in my heart the love of virtue glows, 'twas planted there by an unerring rule. From thy example the pure flame arose, thy life my precept, thy good works my school. Could my weak powers thy numerous virtues trace, by filial love each fear should be repressed, the blush of incapacity I'd chase, and stand, recorder of thy worth, confessed. But since my niggard stars that gift refuse, concealment is the only boon I claim. Obscure be still the unsuccessful muse, who cannot raise, but would not sink, thy fame. O, of my life at once the source and joy, if e'er thy eyes these feeble lines survey, let not their folly their intent destroy. Accept the tribute, but forget the lay. Original Dedication. To the Authors of the Monthly and Critical Reviews. Gentlemen, the liberty which I take in addressing you, the trifling production of a few idle hours, will doubtless move your wonder and probably your contempt. I will not, however, with the futility of apologies, intrude upon your time, but briefly acknowledge the motives of my temerity, lest, by a premature exercise of that patience which I hope will befriend me, I should lessen its benevolence, and be accessory to my own condemnation. Without name, without recommendation, and unknown alike to success and disgrace, to whom can I so properly apply for patronage, as to those who publicly profess themselves inspectors of all literary performances? The extensive plan of your critical observations, which, not confined to works of utility or ingenuity, is equally open to those of frivolous amusement, and yet worse than frivolous, dullness, encourages me to seek for your protection, since, perhaps for my sins, it entitles me to your annotations. To resent therefore this offering, however insignificant, would ill become the universality of your undertaking, though not to despise it may, alas, be out of your power. The language of adulation, and the incense of flattery, though the natural inheritance and constant resource, from time immemorial, of the dedicator, to me offer nothing but the wistful regret that I dare not invoke their aid. Sinister views would be imputed to all I could say, since, thus situated, to extol your judgment would seem the effect of art, and to celebrate your impartiality be attributing to suspecting it. As magistrates of the press, and censors for the public, to which you are bound by the sacred ties of integrity, to exert the most spirited impartiality, and to which your suffrages should carry the marks of pure, dauntless, irrefragable truth, to appeal to your mercy were to solicit your dishonor, and therefore, though 'tis sweeter than frankincense, more grateful to the senses than all the odorous perfumes of Arabia, and though it droppeth like the gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath, I court it not. To your justice alone I am entitled, and by that I must abide. Your engagements are not to the supplicating authors, but to the candid public, which will not fail to crave the penalty and forfeit of your bond. No hackneyed writer inured to abuse and callous to criticism here braves your severity. Neither does a half-starved garroter, obliged by hunger and request of friends, implore your lenity. Your examination will be alike unbiased by partiality and prejudice. No refractory murmuring will follow your censure. No private interest will be gratified by your praise. Let not the anxious solicitude with which I recommend myself to your notice expose me to your derision. Remember, gentlemen, you were all young writers once, and the most experienced veteran of your corps may, by recollecting his first publication, renovate his first terrors, and learn to allow for mine. For though courage is one of the noblest virtues of this nether sphere, and though scarcely more requisite in the field of battle, to guard the fighting hero from disgrace, than in the private commerce of the world, to ward off that littleness of soul which leads, by steps imperceptible, to all the base train of inferior passions, and by which the too timid mind is betrayed into a servility derogatory to the dignity of human nature. Yet is it a virtue of no necessity in a situation such as mine, a situation which removes, even from cowardice itself, the sting of ignominy, for surely that courage may easily be dispensed with, which would rather excite disgust than admiration. Indeed, it is the peculiar privilege of an author to rob terror of contempt, and pusillanimity of reproach. Here let me rest, and snatch myself, while I yet am able, from the fascination of egotism, a monster who has more votaries than ever did homage to the most popular deity of antiquity, and whose singular quality is, that while he excites a blind and involuntary adoration in almost every individual, his influence is universally disallowed, his power universally condemned, and his worship, even by his followers, never mentioned but with abhorrence. In addressing you jointly, I mean but to mark the generous sentiments by which liberal criticism, to the utter annihilation of envy, jealousy, and all selfish views, ought to be distinguished. I have the honor to be, gentlemen, your most obedient, humble servant. Original Preface. In the Republic of Letters there is no member of such inferior rank, or who is so much disdained by his brethren of the quill, as the humble novelist; nor is his fate less hard in the world at large, since, among the whole class of writers, perhaps not one can be named of which the votaries are more numerous but less respectable. Yet while in the annals of those few of our predecessors to whom this species of writing is indebted for being saved from contempt, and rescued from depravity, we can trace such names as Rousseau, Johnson, Marivaux, Felding, Richardson, and Smollett, no man need blush at starting from the same post, though many, nay most men may sigh at finding themselves distanced. However superior the capacities in which these great writers deserve to be considered, they must pardon me that, for the dignity of my subject, I here rank the authors of Rasselas and Eloise as novelists. The following letters are presented to the public, for such, by novel writers, novel readers will be called, with a very singular mixture of timidity and confidence, resulting from the peculiar situation of the editor, who, though trembling for their success from a consciousness of their imperfections, yet fears not being involved in their disgrace, while happily wrapped up in a mantle of impenetrable obscurity. To draw characters from nature, though not from life, and to mark the manners of the times, is the attempted plan of the following letters. For this purpose, a young female, educated in the most secluded retirement, makes, at the age of 17,